Most people assume the Korean War marked a clean break between old war and modern war. New uniforms, new rifles, jet aircraft, and the first large-scale use of Cold War logistics created the impression that everything before 1950 was obsolete overnight. What is rarely acknowledged is how often soldiers in Korea and later conflicts fell back on tools, methods and equipment designed during the Second World War. Not because of nostalgia or supply shortages, but because those tools worked under conditions that modern gear was never tested to survive. Cold, mud, mechanical failure and long-term deprivation revealed an uncomfortable truth. Technological progress does not always equal functional superiority. The Korean War quietly exposed how many World War II-era tools remained indispensable, and in doing so, it forced militaries to relearn lessons they thought they had outgrown. That overlooked reality sets the stage for understanding why certain World War II tools still outperform modern equivalents in specific survival, fieldcraft and endurance contexts. Before examining the tools themselves, it matters to understand the conditions they were built for. World War II equipment was designed for total war. Not short deployments, not limited engagements, but sustained global conflict across deserts, jungles, mountains, frozen plains, and destroyed cities. Tools had to function with minimal maintenance, inconsistent resupply, and users who were exhausted, underfed, and often operating far from repair facilities. This design philosophy produced gear that favoured mechanical simplicity, material redundancy, and field repairability over weight reduction or technological sophistication. By contrast, much modern equipment is optimized for speed, specialization, and integration into complex logistical systems. That approach works exceptionally well when supply chains are intact. But, it performs far less reliably when those systems fail. This difference explains why many World War II tools continue to outperform modern gear in survival-oriented scenarios. The entrenching tool was never just a shovel. And honestly, modern replacements rarely match its versatility. The World War II entrenching tool was designed as a multi-purpose survival implement. It could dig fighting positions in frozen ground, cut routes, pry debris, serve as a weapon in emergencies, and even function as a cooking surface. Its steel construction tolerated abuse that would permanently deform many modern lightweight tools. More importantly, it could be repaired or reshaped in the field using basic methods. Modern entrenching tools are often lighter and more compact, but that weight reduction comes at the cost of durability. Hinges fail, alloys crack, and specialized coatings degrade. World War II-era tools were not exactly elegant, but they were dependable under sustained stress. Soldiers in Korea, especially during those brutal winter campaigns, rediscovered this fact when their modern equipment failed in the extreme cold, while the older steel tools just kept working. Mechanical timepieces actually outlasted electronic systems in environments where precision really mattered. Back during World War II, mechanical watches and timing devices were absolutely essential for coordination, navigation, and artillery operations. These instruments were designed to withstand shock, moisture, and those wild temperature fluctuations. They didn't need any external power source and, honestly, could be maintained with just some basic mechanical knowledge. As electronic systems became the standard in later conflicts, militaries started to encounter vulnerabilities that World War II planners had already mitigated. Batteries would drain quickly in cold conditions, circuits could fail when exposed to moisture, and electromagnetic interference often disrupted reliability. In Korea, mechanical watches were quietly favoured by many units for their consistency. The lesson was clear. Systems that depend on complex energy inputs introduce failure points that simpler tools avoid. Manual cutting tools remained superior in sustained field use. World War II knives, saws and axes were built from robust steels and designed for repeated heavy use. These tools were expected to cut wood, process food, open crates, repair equipment, and sometimes function as improvised weapons. Their value lay not in specialization, but in adaptability. Modern cutting tools often emphasize ergonomic design or task-specific optimization. While effective in controlled environments, they can fail when misused or overused. World War II tools assumed misuse was inevitable. That assumption shaped their construction, making them more forgiving and durable over time. Textiles and load-bearing gear reveal how material science once prioritized longevity over comfort. World War II webbing, packs and clothing were heavy by modern standards, but they were built to be repaired, modified and reused. Canvas could be stitched, leather could be reinforced, and metal hardware could be bent back into shape. These materials aged visibly but predictably. Modern synthetic materials offer weight savings and weather resistance, but often at the cost of repairability. Once torn or delaminated, they are difficult to fix without specialized equipment. World War II gear assumed long-term use under harsh conditions and reflected an understanding that replacement was not guaranteed. Cooking and heating tools from the period reveal a deeper understanding of fuel scarcity. World War II stoves and heating devices were designed around minimal fuel consumption and adaptability. They could burn low-grade fuels, operate in low-oxygen environments, and function with improvised components. Soldiers were trained to maintain and modify them as part of basic fieldcraft. Modern systems often rely on specific fuel types and precise tolerances. When those inputs are unavailable, the system fails. WWII designs anticipated scarcity and built resilience into the tool itself, rather than the supply chain supporting it. Navigation tools from the era demonstrate the enduring value of skill-based systems. Maps, compasses and mechanical range-finding tools formed the backbone of WWII navigation. These systems required training and judgment, but they were immune to signal loss and electronic disruption. Their effectiveness depended on the operator, not an external network. As later conflicts revealed vulnerabilities in electronic navigation, militaries returned to these methods not as backups, but as necessities. The persistence of these tools underscores a broader lesson. Technologies that enhance skill without replacing it tend to endure. What these tools collectively reveal about warfare and preparedness is honestly more important than the tools themselves. World War II equipment was shaped by an acceptance of uncertainty. Designers assumed systems would fail, supplies would be interrupted, and users would be forced to improvise. Modern design often assumes optimization and control. And well, when those assumptions hold, modern gear excels. But when they collapse, older tools frequently perform better. This is not an argument against progress. But, it's really a reminder that durability, simplicity and repairability are forms of technological sophistication in their own right. The Korean War exposed this truth by revealing just how quickly modern assumptions could be invalidated by environment and circumstance. Understanding these forgotten tools matters because, honestly, they reflect a mindset that remains relevant. Preparedness is not about having the newest equipment. It's about understanding failure, endurance, and adaptability. The tools of World War II were products of hard-earned lessons, paid for in scarcity and loss. Their continued relevance is not accidental. It is evidence that some principles of survival do not age. Remembering these tools is not an exercise in nostalgia. It's really an acknowledgement that progress is uneven, and that older solutions often persist because they address fundamental human and environmental realities that, frankly, do not change. If you value this kind of in-depth historical analysis and the lessons it offers for preparedness today, consider subscribing to WARFIELD Survivor. Share this video with others who believe history deserves careful attention, not simplification.